And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from the High Top Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together where we bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. And hey, everybody, welcome to Thursday night, June the 5th. That's right, June the 5th in the year of our good Lord, 2025. And I want to wish a special happy birthday to my cousin Jamie. She celebrated, I won't say what birthday number this is, but happy birthday to Jamie. In the meantime, I hope you guys have had a great week. We've had a nice show last week. We did another one of our shows, and it's been a busy sports week. Stanley Cup's kicked off last night. The Oilers take a 1-0 lead in that series. The Knicks season came to an end. Aaron Rodgers picked a team. Let's see. The Mets and Yankees are both in first place. What else we got? So much. Let's see. Tom Thibodeau fired. Let's see. Jim Marshall. I'll tell you who that is if you don't know. Passed away. We'll talk about some Iron Maiden fans. We went over the Iron Maiden set list as it is for the European tour, and Jeff and I were pretty impressed, and we thought it was a good list. But there are a lot of fans irate over it. So not only will we discuss that and why we think that's crazy to be irate over that set list. And why would you be? We also are going to come up with our own set list tonight. We have two, as a matter of fact. One, if Bruce Dickinson is the singer, which he currently is. And one, if we wished Paul Di'Anno was still singing for Iron Maiden. So we got that. We got whatever else comes up to our mind. Then who knows? But it's getting to be that quiet part of the year for us. It gets to this point in the year. Pretty soon the OTAs and the mini camps are over with, which is about a week or two away. And then football takes its only hiatus of the year. That's right. Football disappears from the map starting about the end of this month, the last week of the month, right up to training camps. Everybody goes away. There's nobody in the stadiums. I'm sure the coaches are there, but it gets very quiet. So we'll see what we'll do for us. We're going to have a couple weeks off, I know, in July. But we'll play everything by ear. But right now, still some stuff to talk about. The firing of Tom Thibodeau. And while I was shocked, I do get it. I understand why. We'll get into it. Maybe that's what my dad wants to talk about tonight. I don't know. But I can understand why the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. Real quick, the Knicks are a fun team to watch, but offensively, they are challenged. And we've talked about this. Too many turnovers, too many dumb mistakes, too many times getting beat down the court on a made basket. Now, listen, you miss a basket, team gets a free throw, a couple guys, maybe three guys went for the rebound, one guy came up with it on either team, and it kicks out a fast break. That's understandable. It happens. But when you get beat on a fast break off a made basket, well, that's lack of hustle, and that's lack of paying attention to detail, and that's standing around and watching the game happen. And these Knicks were the most unimaginative offensive team I've ever watched, especially for a New York Knicks team. And I've seen the Bernard King Knicks and the Patrick Ewing Knicks and Sprewell's Knicks and Carmelo Anthony's Knicks, and Carmelo Anthony's Knicks were bad that way. But this team is worse. It's 5 independent guys. It's whoever can get themselves open for a shot, and if they get themselves into a problem, then they'll throw the ball around, and it usually winds up in a turnover or a made basket. It's one or the other. It's not once in a blue moon they'll turn the ball over. No, I don't know what their percentage is, but it feels like 50%. So this team was not going to get better. Tom Thibodeau was making no inroads. I don't believe they're going to make any adjustments that'll fix this team offensively. So to me, this team is based on, can each guy, especially Brunson, get himself open and hit just about every shot. And you'll do that against the weaker teams. But when you get to the playoffs, you're facing better teams. And I don't think the Pacers were a better team than the Knicks, but they played better than the Knicks. And the Knicks lost. And Tom Thibodeau got fired for it. And the big reason for me, if I was going to fire Tom Thibodeau, was simple. He's a defense-orientated coach. He believes in defense and hustle and grit and diving for the ball. And this team was terrible defensively. So if you can't coach offense, if you can't coach a decent offense out of your team on a nightly basis, and you can't get them to play defense, well, then, folks, you're going to lose your job. So he did, and I think rightfully so. I am shocked by it because you went to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. They are progressing. They are getting better, but I don't think they would take that next step. They would not be taking the next step under Tom Thibodeau. They just wouldn't. It's just he's basically conceded the offense to the players and said, do whatever you want. The only play I've ever seen him run is a high screen. Everything's a high screen, and then off the high screen, you may get the occasional lob. You may get the occasional roll to the basket by the pick player. But for the most part, this was, I'm going to high screen. If the other guy tries to come underneath it, I'm going to step back and shoot. If he tries to come around it, I'm going to try to beat him to the basket. That's their offense. And it was pathetic to watch. And listen, when game one, they gave away that 20-point lead and lost, that was the series. That was their chance. They win that game by 20, step on their throat. Maybe they come out the next night and they win. They lost them losing 2 games anyway. But had they stepped on their throat in that game, I think it's a different series and the next win. But listen, we'll get much more into it. Again, we got Saquon Barkley on the cover of Madden. We got Jim Marshall. We got Barkley. We got Eagles. We got a lot of stuff. A lot of maidens tonight. So we'll see where it goes, what time it ends. In the meantime, let me get my partner, Mr. Jeff Towinski, on, and let's kick the show off for good. What's up, Hefe?
What's up, man? What's going on?
Not much, Jeff. Let's kick it off the right way, like we always do. Jeff, how was your week?
Very long week, man. It sucked.
What? Really? Why? A lot of overtime?
No. But my boss is a girly man.
Okay.
And, can't take a cold and runs to the doctor for antibiotics and a note. Probably more the note than the antibiotics.
Gotcha. Listen, some people are that way. We grew up with a friend of ours who was a bit like that as well. So I mean, that's just some people are that way. To be honest with you, I don't think I've ever been on antibiotics in my entire life.
Only if I needed them.
Yeah, I've never. Whatever sick I've been. I guess once or twice in my life, and COVID was one. COVID, I was on Tylenol. That was it. But never more than that. So, but I'm sorry, you had a long week. But you off tomorrow. You got a regular weekend.
They were no 3-day weekend. But they wanted me to come in tomorrow because my boss might be out. And I'm just like, it's not my problem, man. I'll be home. Thank you anyway. Keep your fucking money.
Well, listen.
The best part is I got paid for some overtime that I worked. And it wasn't much. It was only 10 hours. But it's like, what was the point of doing it? I didn't see anything really,
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't that much money. So fuck it.
Yeah, listen, I get it. So we got to feed the beast out there called the U.S. government. So
yeah,
it is what it is. Yep, that is what it is. But listen, it's been a busy sports week. We got lots to get to tonight. I don't want to get too deep into it. I want to get my dad on. It's already 7:15. But the shocking, not shocking news, Jeff, today that one Mr. Aaron Rodgers has finally decided to play football this year, and it will be for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, he hasn't signed yet.
Well, he's made the announcement, so we're going to go under the assumption. And what's up,
Rob?
He's
going to sign, but he reminds me of like a skittish cat.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get close, and then he may fucking run across the street again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that this was the plan all along, and I'll tell you why. It didn't make sense that the Steelers wanted to me. I would say the Steelers are probably the best NFL franchise ever. And why I say that and why I picked them over the Patriots is they've been consistent for a long time. They've not always been the best team out there. They went through their years. But, here's a franchise, only 3 coaches, multiple Super Bowls. This guy's been there for 15 years, I think, and he's never had a losing season. So to me, for them to go into this season with the thought that they didn't even make an attempt other than Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson and a 6th-round draft pick didn't make any sense to me. So I think the plan all along was they knew that he was going to do it. And he was just going to wait to announce it, so he missed most of the preseason workouts. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but you know what? Why not turn around and sign instead of dragging this out? You can still miss the voluntary workouts and everything and just say, listen, I'm 41 years old. I'm just simply not doing it. That's what it is.
I agree, but look what happened last year. When stuff like that happened last year, people were writing him. Now, he didn't miss any of the voluntary stuff, but he did miss the mandatory stuff. Remember, he went to Egypt, and it was the whole big thing, and some people said, hey, that doesn't matter. He's a veteran. And turned out it mattered. They all came out, didn't play well as a team. There seemed to be a lot of friction. But I think the Steelers knew all along that he was going to be there. And we're going to get more into the Steelers and where that lays. And, but guess who the Steelers opened the season against, Jeff?
Oh, I know, the Jets.
Oh, yeah. There was already been the tweets and the memes. Jets start week 1, 0-1. Aaron Rodgers is coming for them. I think it's interesting. I think if anything, the Jets should have more animosity toward him than he has toward them. Now, I don't think he's happy with Aaron Glenn making a fly across the country to basically tell him we don't want you. But
Well, listen, at least the guy did it face to face and didn't do it over the phone. I hear you.
Let me ask you, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're in California and Aaron Glenn calls you up, would you rather him say, hey, Aaron, get on a plane, fly across country, and I want to talk, and then get there and find out you're cut in a 15-minute conversation, or would you rather him say, hey, instead of wasting your time flying across here, we're going to move on from you. Have a great life in California. Which one would you prefer?
Well, listen, Aaron Rodgers could have turned around and said, why do I got to come out here? What's all the way? We have Zoom meetings. We got face-to-face.
Agreed.
Got a whole bunch of stuff. What are we going to look to accomplish here if I come out there today?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm with you. I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, you kind of knew what was coming. I think what he expected was for Aaron Glenn to sit down and say, hey, let me ask you some questions about the team and pick his brain about Garrett Wilson and the offensive line and, some of the culture. But he didn't do it. He didn't. He basically had a quick conversation, and they said it lasted between 12 and 15 minutes, and Rodgers was gone. And there was no conversation regarding the team itself, which I'm a little surprised by. If I was Aaron Glenn, I think I'd want to ask some questions about, hey, what's your opinion on certain things for a guy who's been in the league for 20 years?
And thank you. We'll see you later.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I hear you. I think he already had his mind made up.
No, I would agree with that. I would agree.
It really wouldn't matter what he had to say at that point in time. He's gone.
But I also think that it kind of justifies making the guy fly across country. I agree with you. With Zoom meetings and all that, you could have that conversation, like you and I are having, and get the same results. So I don't get Aaron Glenn's thought process dragging a guy over across the country.
He's just a dick. You know what I mean?
Listen, that's very possible. We're gonna talk a lot about Aaron Glenn in the next month or so when training camp opens up, and we see how he handles his business and how his Jets come out. And real quick, I'm gonna get my dad on right now, but going into the season right now, roster as it is, what is your feeling on this Jet team? This is a weird team because there's really no expectation. The division's kind of wide open right now. Miami, we don't know how good they are. We don't know how good New England's going to be. Probably not very good. Buffalo's Buffalo. At some point, they'll take a step back. It hasn't happened. What's your feeling going into this offseason, into training camp with this Jet team?
I know the Jets ain't going to be involved with it at the end of the year. That's all I know. I still think they're going to be finished third or fourth. The only good thing is there's a couple areas where they're strong.
Yeah.
Right now, I was watching something on ESPN earlier. They said that they have a top 5 offensive line right now as it stands. So, that's good to know because all those guys are rookies.
Yeah.
And a lot of rookies or have a little time left in the league. So it's his hope and they build on it, you know.
Well, I mean, the kid they drafted this year and Fasanu from last year and the kid Tippmann from 2 years ago, they're starting to build a nice young offensive line. If it does gel now, Vera Tucker's the veteran, I think, on this line. I'm not sure who the other guard is at this point. You have the 2 tackles and Tippmann. And then Vera Tucker's one. If he's got to stay healthy, but he's got a proven track record. So this should be a much better offensive line for the Jets. I still think they're hurting for a second play wide receiver. I love the backfield. Question is going to be, what kind of offense and what does Justin Fields do? I don't have a feeling for it either, to be honest with you. I think this Jet team is going to go as well as the defense goes, and I think the defense is better this year.
I mean, listen, every year there's a team that surprises everybody. Is it going to be the Jets this year? I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know.
Well, that's for down the road. We'll obviously we'll do our training camp show. It'll be our 12th training camp show. It was the very first show I ever did back July 24th, 2014. That was the very first show we did, was a training camp show. Only lasted about an hour and change for a 3-hour show that kind of abruptly ended because I just didn't have anything else to talk about. So, but that was 11 years ago. We'll celebrate our anniversary and kick off the NFL training camps and the start of the NFL season on that day. But listen, let's get my pops on. I got a lot to bring up to you. We got a couple of Iron Maiden set lists to run through. I
got something else for you too.
Okay.
On this article today online, it just popped up when I was at work, ranking all of the Iron Maiden albums.
Oh, wow.
From worst to first. Okay. So I copied that down. I got that for us too.
All right, so let's get my pops on, and then we'll jump back into probably some Iron Maiden talk. After that, we'll get to a bunch of football stuff, and again, the Stanley Cup playoffs. If you didn't watch, a great game last night with the Oilers and the Panthers. I think the Oilers going to break out. I didn't know it. Frank Jeffrey told me last night. No Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup in 31 years.
Do you know who the last team was that won the Stanley Cup?
I'm gonna guess that it was the Canadians, but I'm not sure.
Canadians, 1993 season.
Okay, so then you knew that. I had no idea. You think of hockey is a Canadian game. There's a bunch of teams from up there, and yet it's been 31 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. That's amazing. Teams are winning it in Florida. Tampa Bay's won them. Florida won it last year. They're back this year.
Tampa Bay has won. Dallas has won.
Yeah.
The Ducks have won.
Yeah.
I believe the Vegas Golden Knights have won.
Yeah, the Kings beat the Rangers a bunch of years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, all of these warm weather cities have cups, and pretty sick.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we'll try to get a little hockey talk, and we'll get that. But let's get my pops on, see what he's got to say, and then we'll get back to our show. Hang in, everybody. Let's get pops on. Hey, Pop.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up there, Mr.
Same old, Pops.
I'm good, guys. Yeah, I was listening to you before, Tommy. I agree with you half of what you said about the Knicks being better than Indiana. Yep. I think the 5 guys on the court, I agree with you. The starting 5 is probably a little better than Indiana. But I think overall bench, I think it showed.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Sucks.
No, you're 100% right. They put all their money in their first 5 or 6 players,
and that's why he was fired.
Well, you can't blame him for that. He coaches the team that they give him. I think he didn't use them enough during the regular season to make them part of the team to get them ready to play. So I agree with you there. But at the end of the day, if those guys aren't talented enough, which I don't think they are. I did like Deuce McBride. I thought he had some moments out there. But if that's on Leon Rose and the front office to give him better players for that. But I don't disagree. I thought once they went to the benches, Indiana was clearly the better team.
They had the better team, the better bench. And the only one they seemed to be taking care of was their point guard, the Knicks.
Yes.
Brunson. I mean, every time he turned around, in the beginning of the fourth quarter, they'd sit him on the bench for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And
well, I didn't think his strategy was too off. I watched every game. I thought, he did a decent job trying to keep him fresh. When the game was close, pull him out, give him a chance to play as much of the fourth quarter as possible. So it wasn't terrible. But you're right. His X's and O's as a head coach, his adjustment, his feel for the game as a head coach definitely leaves something to be desired. It was it was poor.
I haven't seen a point guard that bad. I can't remember. I really can't remember point guards being that bad.
Well,
and he was terrible point guard.
Yes. I would tell you this, Dad. I think the biggest problem is that he's defined as a point guard because theoretically in that offense, there is no point guard. You have a guy who handles the ball, and whoever has the ball is probably going to shoot it unless they get in trouble, and then they may pass it or they may throw it away. Or they may force the shot. So, yes, while he's deemed the point guard, quote unquote, he's a far cry from Walt Frazier and Mark Jackson and some of the point guards that have come through, Michael Ray Richardson and Ray Williams, guys who are legitimate point guards, Rory Sparrow. He dribbles the ball. He doesn't handle the ball badly, but he puts himself in really bad spots. And his first instinct is to get himself open to shoot. That's his first instinct, not to get to somebody else the ball in a good spot.
I've seen him come down court, and he's running down court, and he could have two guys around him, and he's dribbling behind his back. I can't tell you how many times he's lost the ball. He threw it away. Come on.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
You're not playing idiot teams. You're playing good teams.
They have no rhythm to their offense. I watched them. They were on fast breaks. They had 2-on-1s. Hart's got the ball. He's coming out 2-on-1, and he jumps in the air and throws a pass back to a guy to shoot a three and gives the ball away. Now, why not go to the basket and settle for the easy two? It's a bad philosophy. There were 5 independent players on the court at the same time.
I agree with you.
And ultimately, while I was shocked, if they would have lost to the Celtics, I would have saw it coming. They got to the same place. They got beat by, even though they were the better team. Them beating the Celtics and then going to the Eastern Conference Finals, to me, I thought he was coming back. Was I shocked he got fired? Yes. Did he deserve to get fired? Yeah, I think he did. I don't think he's a good coach, a great coach, and I don't think they're going to go any further with him than this. They need an offensive-minded coach who's going to get them to buy into an offensive scheme and not play independent basketball. So,
hey, Jeff, I got to tell you, Jeff, come the first of the I'll be rooting for the Jets so hard to put him off the field.
Listen, who knows with this guy? 41 years old. Who knows if he's even going to make the first game? He may get hurt.
He may get lost. He may get lost.
Yeah, that too.
Very true.
Let you guys go.
All right, Pops.
I'll see you guys over the weekend. Jeff, take care. Say hello to your family.
I will, Mr. Florio. Be good.
That's my Pops. He checks in every week with us, and I tell you, he's right on. He's on his game today because he was right on with that one. He was right on. Let me get myself set up here.
How's he doing now?
I would tell you much better. Much better. He's pre-diabetic, so he's not diabetic, but he's on the borderline. He's got to eat and do a lot of things to take care of himself a lot better. My dad's one of those guys who doesn't eat breakfast, may eat lunch, probably not, eats dinner, drinks a lot of soda, and he keeps candy by his thing, and he's constantly munching on candy. So,
but how old is he?
70. He'll be 77 this year.
Leave him alone.
Yeah, no, to a certain extent, but
leave him alone.
Well, you know what it is, Jeff. I'm okay. Do whatever you want. But what happening was he was zoning out, so he was dehydrating. So now he's trying to drive. He nearly got himself and my mother killed in a car.
That's not good.
Right. So it's either take better care of yourself and you can do the things you want to do, or just keep sitting in the house eating candy and drinking soda, and I'll take your keys away. So. But so
you're the only one that's dealing with him too. On top of it,
yeah. So it's again, he's still 77, but for the most part, pretty durable at this point. So good for him and much better. But Thank you for asking. Appreciate that. Anyway, thanks everybody tuning in tonight. We got a lot. We still got a lot to get going on here. 7:30 again. Yankees and Mets both in first place. Of course, if you're a Met fan, they're already winning the World Series. They're just waiting for the trophy to be delivered.
Special trophy.
Yes, the special trophy for Met fans. They win the World Series in May and June. But they are playing better. They lost Lindor. We're not sure yet. I don't think he played today, but he's got a broken pinky toe.
Oh.
He may be out sparingly, may play some along the way, but they do seem to be on a roll right now. They're kicking the crap out of the Dodgers. I don't know if the Mets won today, but they've beaten them twice, and I think 4 out of 6 so far this year. So good for the Mets. Yankees are rolling along. Last night took a little speed bump, but 15 or 16 games over 500 and easily in first place in their division. So pretty good. He didn't play today. All right. Did they win, Finelli, or did they lose? They were winning 1-0. Alonso is on fire right now. He hit another homer. Anyway, so again, we got a lot to kick. Lost today. Okay, so but okay. Listen, 2 out of 3 out on the West Coast. Go out there, feast on the Rockies this weekend. Come home and get ready for the Nationals. So the Mets in a good stretch. Yankees in a good stretch. Listen, all right, the best record in baseball. If that's it's June, but that's fine. That's fine. Again, well, get the championship banners out, Jeff. The Mets have won the World Series.
We're gonna dust them off already.
That's it. We're dusting them off. We break balls here. Anyway, lots to get to. Still, let's talk a little Iron Maiden, Jeff. We'll probably chase a few people away, but I before we get to set lists and ranking albums. I was taken aback. Now, we spent a good few minutes last week talking about the Maiden's new drummer. I have a thought on that. Have you seen his kit? And did you watch any of the clips of them playing live?
I did not watch any clips, but I have seen pictures of his drum kit.
I like it, and I'll tell you why. Now, I love Nico. Nico's Iron Maiden's drummer. He'll always be Iron Maiden's drummer. I think he's a fun guy. I think he's what rock and roll's supposed to be. You know, just love being out there, love playing. You know, here's a guy who loved playing in Iron Maiden so much, he had an Iron Maiden cover band in his spare time. I mean, so that just tells you that there's a guy that you want to hang out with. But what I love about this new guy, and I couldn't tell you if he plays great. I've heard a couple songs and it was fine. I love his kit. It's simple. It kind of reminds me of the old Clive Burr days. You know, a couple of toms, a few cymbals, nothing extravagant. And that's what I loved about it.
Oh, I think that even Clive Burr's kit was bigger than his. But at this point in time, after seeing Nico McBrain for 40 plus years, to me, the drum kit was part of the show. You know, Maiden is a very theatrical band with a lot of stage presence. You know, the guitar players all still have long hair, pushing 70 years old, and they're still moving around on stage. Steve Harris is all over the place. I mean, they might have slowed down a little bit, but you know, I think that aspect is gone now. But I understand he's his own man, his own drummer, so I could respect that you know, he's taking out what he needs, not what the crowd wants.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, after seeing Nico for 40 plus years, it's like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just but you know what? I did watch a few of the songs from their opening show. I think I saw Phantom of the Opera. I saw Murders in the Rue Morgue. I saw Killers. And it was just really old school. I mean, you know, Bruce is back in the leather jacket. You got the motorcycle jacket working. You know, Steve's still in the, you know, they're not breaking out the spandex, but, you know, it was kind of refreshing to see. It was an old school set. And it was simple on the stage. He brought back the old school Eddie with the kind of the Killer Days Eddie with the axe and the whole bit. And I said, you know, shit, I can't wait for September. I can't wait for him to get here. I'm looking forward to it. And but I didn't understand, Jeff. What I didn't understand was there were a lot of Iron Maiden fans online given statements that they hated the set, and they didn't get too deep into it, but it seemed like people wanted more of like the middle Maiden, you know, kind of like Somewhere in Time through, you know, before Brave New World, you know, that 3 or 4 album span, whatever that was. And people wanted more of that than the prehistoric Maiden, which you and I will probably have a lot in our set list tonight, and what's currently in the set list. And I said, well, if you're a real Iron Maiden fan and you started this journey 40 years ago, like we did, what you saw in that set is what you pray for when you go to an Iron Maiden show.
I didn't have a problem with it. My only problem with the stuff that I saw in the set list is that Bruce Dickinson singing Paul Di'Anno stuff is, I don't know, just not what I exactly want to hear. But I mean, it's something different. I don't want to see a set list with 4 songs from Somewhere in Time. There's a few songs that I would like to see them play, but listen, Killers, Murders in the Rue Morgue, really? I would watch that any day of the week, man.
Yeah. And that's the point. So, if you're a true Iron Maiden fan, okay, and I'm not talking somebody who, is 25 or 26 years old or younger, who's gotten into Maiden in the last, 15 years, or maybe you inherited from your parents. I'm talking about the guys who are late 40s and 50s. I got into Iron Maiden, I was 14 years old, okay, maybe 15 years old, whatever. So to me, if you're younger than me and that much younger, maybe you missed it. Maybe you didn't get the Jurassic period, as they call it. But to me, the first 3 and certainly the first 4 albums, I'll push it, are classics. And anytime I can go to a concert and see a predominant 14 to 17 song set list with stuff from that period, I'm buying in. You got me. I'm all in. So,
Yeah, I agree.
So I didn't understand what could be, if you're our age, Jeff, and you're a Maiden fan, could you possibly like the later or mid version of Maiden? Let's say, after Brave New World came out, you had to Dance with Death and, the Blaze Bayley years. Like, that stuff to me is kind of like, I'm an Iron Maiden fan, I'll buy it, but it's not great stuff. That middle stuff was Somewhere in Time and all the stuff that's in there is good, but it ain't, Peace of Mind, Number of the Beast, Killers and Iron Maiden good. What's the thought process?
I don't know, but I could say this much for myself. Once No Prayer for the Dying came out, I kind of left them behind a little bit.
I would agree.
Over. I didn't like that album. They lost me with that album. I think a lot of it has to do, I'm not a big Janet Gears fan.
Mm-hmm.
I never was. I think that on some levels he changed the band with the way that he is. I don't find the need for him. I don't find the need for a third guitar player in Maiden. Maiden, to me, I want to see them do their songs as per the album.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they did,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, Bruce Dickinson has been in the band for over 40 years, and that's basically what most, if not all, Maiden fans have come to know. And yes, Paul Di'Anno put out 2 albums, but by the time Maiden hit the States, Di'Anno was pretty much on his way out.
Yeah.
And,
Maiden, honestly, when Maiden, let's say, Maiden, their big tour that really kind of blew them up was 82, was going out with Priest with the Number of the Beast Screaming for Vengeance tour. So Di'Anno's gone. So a lot of people who discovered Maiden discovered it with Bruce Dickinson, not with Di'Anno. I mean, we discovered it with Di'Anno because we kind of just caught it. So when Number of the Beast came out and it was the switch in singers, we had already gotten into the first 2 albums.
Well, you did. I was late coming to the party.
Yeah, I got in 80, will be Christmas of 81, freshman year. That's when Paul Gill bought me Made in Japan. So I was already in, and I had already gone out and bought at that point. Once I got that, I bought the first 2 albums. Not immediately, because $8 was hard to come by back in those days.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
like $38 for a fucking album.
Fucking hey. But yeah, it's just weird to me. If you're a Maiden fan in our age bracket, a little younger, a little older, the fact that you'd have any issue with this set list, like, to me, the last set list, from the last tour was all like that middle of the road stuff, and I'm like, I wouldn't go. I don't care if they picked me up, gave me front row seats. I wouldn't go see it. It's just not my type. It's not my Maiden stuff music. I love Maiden, but you can mix in a song or two. I've seen some shows where they played that stuff, and it's fine. You know, I'm going to get a drink, I'm going to take a pee, or I'm going to hang out and not pay attention for a minute. But
yeah, you know, I hear that. I mean, listen, Somewhere in Time was not the album that you gotta.
Yeah, I don't want to feature. I don't want to feature it. But listen, if you're doing a standard Maiden set where you're playing a couple of songs off a new album, and then you're playing some stuff, you know, from the B-sides, or you're going to mix in some stuff you haven't played in a long time, I kind of get it. You know, that's fine. And you tell people that's what we're doing. But when you're saying I'm going to play an all-time Maiden, an early Maiden set list, you know, to me, when I see that list that I saw last week, I was like, geez, that's great. There's maybe one or two songs I can go, I'm not a big Run to the Hills guy, but I wouldn't leave the arena because they're playing it.
No, but I mean, there was some songs that I would have rather have seen them play instead, you know.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, listen, here's more importantly, we still have them.
That's it. They're still out there doing it.
Yeah.
I've read the articles. They talk about there's no conversation so far about hanging it up. They're all still sub. Nico is the only one I think at 70. Everybody else is 67, 68. So, you know, who knows? We may get 2 or 3 more tours, you know, from Iron Maiden. You know, God hope they don't get hurt. Nobody gets sick again or any of that stuff. But short of that, we should get a few more tours. But I always look at it like this. This could be the last one. Could be the last one with one of the members. Anything's possible. So I will go to this tour.
I sincerely hope that if members start retiring, Nico retired because of medical reasons. Mm-hmm. If they start to retire because they don't want to play no more, I don't care if they decide that they still want to make albums and make music that way, but please don't drag it out and beat it like a dead horse. If you know, Dave Murray says he wants to retire, mm-hmm. and then think about that, man. It may be time to hang it up. You don't want to look silly being out there and you know.
Yeah, no. I agree. So here's the way I look at it. I think if any of the let me see. So let me ask you this question. At what point, what member, when he leaves, if any, to me, it's almost like if any of the original members leave at this point, I would call it a day. Like if Dave Murray walked away, or Adrian Smith walked away, or Bruce walked away, especially Bruce, I would say it's time to hang it up. Certainly, if Steve Harris was going to call it a day, which I'm assuming Iron Maiden would shut down at that point, so it's his band.
I would like to think so, but you know, listen, to me, Adrian Smith already walked away. So if he walked away again, it wouldn't bother me too much. Mm-hmm. You know, I prefer Dave Murray over Adrian Smith.
Yeah, me too.
But
me too.
That doesn't mean that I don't like Adrian Smith. Smith is just as much Iron Maiden as Dave Murray is.
Yes.
It's just something about Dave Murray. He's been there since the beginning. And his name is Dave. You know what I mean? He's just Dave. You know what I mean? It's just nice, short, simple. He seems like a nice guy. They all seem like they're nice guys. And they'd be fun to talk to for a few minutes, without a doubt. But, I mean, if Harris left, it's got to be it.
Yeah.
And you look and see what Priest is doing. It's just,
yes,
come on, man, it's time to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially, you know, and the Priest guys, I give them credit for keep going out there and doing it. But pretty soon they're going to play the Mount Carmel Feast. I mean, you know, it went from stadiums to arenas to theaters to clubs. You know, like I said, next thing you know, Matt Sozio will be driving them up in the Mobile to the Mount Carmel Feast to play. So the Maiden guys, they're doing it right. They don't play a ton of shows. They got the plane. They fly all over the place. They play they play 40, 50 shows around the world, and then they call it a day. They know where to show up and they know when to play. I would say at this point, you could almost get away with anybody leaving except for Harris. And I got to be honest, if Dickinson left at this point, I'd have to say it's over. Like I don't want to go through another Blaze Bayley term. To me, Iron Maiden, it's a great group, but it really comes out to Bruce and Steve. To me, those are the faces of Iron Maiden. And without those two guys, so hopefully we won't have to talk about that for too long. But at this point, we got another show. We got 50 years of Iron Maiden this year. I believe it's September, October. They'll be here in the States, so we'll see what our plan's going to be. And again, we love the set list. But if we were going to create our own set list, if I was going to, if Steve was going to call me up and say, hey, what do you think? What would you play? Well, Jeff, I can answer him because I have my own set lists.
All right. So I am curious to see what you picked, of course.
Okay. So let's see. Can you see the screen?
I can, yeah.
Okay. So I broke into two categories. Now, here's the hard part for me. I did not pick any Bruce era songs for Paul Di'Anno to sing, but I did pick Di'Anno era songs for Bruce because I think Bruce can obviously handle it. I've seen it. I do not think that Paul Di'Anno could sing Number of the Beast or some of the challenging Revelations, Die With Your Boots On, Trooper. I don't think that he could have pulled it off. So was very difficult. I only had 2 albums to pick from.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
So anyway, I came up with my list. 5 rolls, 200 square feet. Oh no! Hold on a second. Hold on, man. Try to. All right. So anyway, so here's what I looked at, Jeff. Here's how I thought about it when I came up with my set list. They open up with Doctor, and then the lights kind of go down, and it goes quiet for a second. And I said, what would be the song you'd want to hear? I want to hear a song right away. So Number of the Beast came out of the picture. So I said it's either Wrathchild or Where Eagles Dare. And I said, I'm going to go Where Eagles Dare into Wrathchild and then slow it down. And then we play the intro to Number of the Beast. And then we run through the set list. And I went Number of the Beast to Clairvoyant, Phantom of the Opera, Murders in the Room, one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, 22 Acacia, followed by Charlotte the Harlot. I figured, let's get the whole story out there. We do. Now, I could have easily reversed the order. It didn't matter to me at that point. Then Aces High, Trooper, Die With Your Boots On, Revelations, Killers, and then I ended the main set with Running Free. I wanted to go old school Iron Maiden for the last song of the set. So now you take your break, you step back, you get some water, you come out with a little Fear of the Dark. You get all the fans chanting. You're doing the whole thing. 2 minutes to midnight, and then you end it with Iron Maiden. The way any Iron Maiden show should end, that's where you go. So, Jeff, I will take your critique of this.
Could you go back up again? Because there's a lot of songs that we each picked for the Bruce Dickinson thing.
Yeah.
And there's some that we didn't. So I think that while very similar, they're a little different. And then some of the stuff is in a bit of a different order. I don't think that you could go wrong with what you did. I like your set list, but like I said, a lot of the main songs are there, and I think that it shows that you got 2 Maiden fans that think somewhat alike.
Yeah,
because they're picking a lot of the same songs. Like you picked Number of the Beast, right?
Yep.
Okay, Number of the Beast. Revelations you picked.
I did.
Aces High.
Did.
What else did you do? I just want to see how many I picked with you.
I'll run my list down. Where Eagles Dare.
Okay, I didn't pick that.
Wrathchild.
Did I pick that? No, I did not.
All right, Number of the Beast, you did.
Yes.
Clairvoyant, you didn't.
No.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. Did I pick that one? No, not for that list. No.
Okay, Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Did I pick that one? No.
22 Acacia.
Yes.
Okay. Charlotte the Harlot.
Yes.
Okay. Aces High.
That is yes.
Trooper.
Yes.
I know you didn't pick Die With Your Boots On. You're not a fan of that
No.
one. Revelations, you did.
Yes.
Killers.
No.
Running Free.
No.
Okay. My encore is Fear of the Dark. I'm sure you didn't pick.
Yes. Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. 6. 2 Minutes to Midnight.
No.
Iron Maiden.
Yes.
All right. So we had 8 of the same songs.
Yeah, 8 of the 17. So
Right.
and I went
Go ahead.
with Number of the Beast,
Okay.
Revelations.
Okay.
You ready for this one? Because this one's gonna blow your mind.
Go ahead.
El Dorado.
Wow. Look at you. Wow.
Oh,
See,
I love that song, man. That is a great song.
It is a very good. It is a really good song. You're absolutely right. Best song on that album. You're right.
Yep. Aces High.
Okay.
The Evil That Men Do.
Good tune. Very good tune. I forgot about that. It's a really good one.
Still Life.
Okay. Not my favorite, but okay. Good one.
I like it. It's good.
Yeah,
Power
yeah.
Slave.
Really? Okay. Good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been jamming around to Power Slave. It's a great song.
Okay.
I went real deep on this one, man. Real deep. Total Eclipse.
Wow. You did go. You did.
Love that song, man. My God, I don't know how that song never made it onto an album. I know it's on the re-release of Number of the Beast, but that's just unfucking believable. My 9th song was To Tame a Land. That song is just unbelievable to me. A lot of great bass work. Drifters.
Nice. Yep.
I'm sorry, but an Iron Maiden concert ain't an Iron Maiden concert unless you hear Run to the Hills.
Yeah. Okay.
I did the Charlotte the Harlot, 22 Acacia Avenue in order of the story.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. Yep.
And then this is another one that I noticed you didn't pick, but I love this song, Moonchild.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Dude, I love that song. That's a great song.
Okay,
and
it's a good song.
The first of the 3 encores, Moonchild, Fear of the Dark, and Iron Maiden.
That is a really good encore. That's a very good encore. It really is. So interesting. I would never have thought of Moonchild. El Dorado is a really good tune. I was trying to go kind of old school, but yeah, that if you're going to see Maiden, that's a good tune to see. I think I've seen that in concert. I think I saw that when I went to see them with Alice Cooper. They played that.
Seven Son?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I actually have the bootleg DVD from that show. I'm gonna go look for it later and see if that song was in that set. So anyway, that's a good Bruce set. Okay, it's a mix of both eras. A little bit of later Iron Maidens, obviously some very early Iron Maiden, and then some Jurassic Iron Maiden with the classic Number of the Beast and Power Slaves and Peace of Mind stuff. So good set by you. I would enjoy your set. I would.
That's cool. Thank you.
Now let's go to the much tougher set. And I'm missing one song because I just couldn't come up with a 13 in my list. So,
I just want to let you know something. This isn't bad, and I'll tell you why. Because if you go over the 2 albums that Di'Anno did,
yep,
I believe it's 18 songs, and we said you had to pick 17 songs.
Correct. Yes.
So you kind of have a problem there. So what I did is I picked 14 songs, including thinking that, when we didn't realize this, we didn't say this, but Iron Maiden was an opener at this point in time.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So there they are opening for somebody. So you probably only needed maybe 8 to 10 songs, but I'm giving them 14.
I actually came up with 16 songs, and I included a B side that never made a real album song in the mix. So I'll run it down for you. So I said,
by the way, I think I have one song, a combination here. It's going to blow your mind away. Going to blow it away.
All right, here we go. I'll go first. I went Phantom of the Opera to open up. I love that song. It's one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, and I would have given anything to see Di'Anno sing this live. It would have been Drifter. Then Charlotte the Harlot, Murders in the Rue Morgue. Again, my favorite Iron Maiden song. One of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, at least. Prowler, then Killers. Remember Tomorrow, little take it down, little break in the middle there. Purgatory, Sanctuary. I stuck in Women in Uniform. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that song off the.
Oh, yeah, of course.
One of my favorite Iron Maiden songs. And I said, I got to sneak this in there somewhere because I love this song and I would have loved to have heard this in concert. Transylvania, Innocent Exile. I'll end the set with Ides of March into Wrathchild. Oh, I think I doubled up. So I'm sorry. I doubled up on Transylvania. So anyway, I'm 15 of 17. I ended the encores with Running Free and Iron Maiden. So that's how my set would go. It's completely old school. And that's the best I could come up with for that without sneaking in some Bruce era stuff, which I didn't want to have him singing.
Oh, we couldn't do it. That wasn't what we.
I couldn't do it.
But I got 12.
Okay,
piano songs, but you were limited to what you actually had.
It's very tough.
So I'm opening up with Killers.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because I could see the arena going dark and then hearing the bass intro for Killers.
Oh, yeah.
And the people going completely fucking.
I didn't think of that. Absolutely right. 100% right. Yep.
Ides of March and Wrathchild. Murders in the Rue Morgue. I got Prowler. And then here's where things start to go a little different.
Okay.
I put Transylvania also. But I had them go straight into Strange World.
Oh, wow.
Transylvania. And I'm thinking that those songs end and blend together.
Oh, nice mesh. That's a nice mashup right there.
Yeah. And then coming out of Strange World, right into Genghis Khan.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, that's a really great tune. Okay. Good for you.
Then, Purgatory.
That's a killer 3 songs in a row right there.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Oh my God! If they did that in concert, they'd blow the roof off the place.
Then I went Purgatory, Phantom of the Opera, Innocent Exile, Charlotte the Harlot, Remember Tomorrow, Running Free, and then ended off with Iron Maiden.
Yeah, so we're on the same page. I mean, it's very tough because you're right. I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. Maiden at that point with Di'Anno is still an opening band. They're opening up for Priest. They're opening up for Kiss. They're opening up for Scorpions. They're opening up for everybody. It wasn't until Peace of Mind tour where they started to become the complete headliner in arenas and probably stadiums around the world. So, they were limited in what they could play and what they did play. It wasn't obviously, it seemed like every year after that they put out a new album, so they had plenty of stuff after that.
Yeah, I can honestly and truly say, I mean, at this point in time, a band like Maiden with all the albums that they have, and I mean, I know that they think that their stuff has to be good. I mean, I'm sure that they're not disappointed with it. I'm sure that they have stuff that they're like, well, we could have done without this or done without that. But
sure,
those are songs that'll just never get played at this point in time.
I wonder now, like if you made them rank their albums, how they would actually rank them. Because I bet you, especially Dickinson, he's very pompous ass. I bet you he thinks that the newer Maiden is better than the old, Jurassic, 3 chords and a gallop. I wonder how they would rank it. Now, I know how I would rank it to a certain extent. I don't know how necessarily they would rank it.
I know this much. I found out how somebody else would rank it, and I got 18 Maiden albums right here. So, and some of them I really can't comment on too much, but some of them I can, and I'm surprised where some of them are, to be honest with you.
I'm bringing it up. I'm going to, I can put it up on the screen so I can show you all the albums. Now, you have it ranked. I don't know how you want to do it, but I have all the albums. You can call them out if you want. I will share it. Let's see. Share the screen. Window. Share. Okay. So these are in order
of their release.
This is the order of their release. Yep. Iron Maiden, Killers, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, No Prayer for the Dying, Fear of the Dark, The X Factor, Virtual XI, Brave New World, Dance of Death, Matter of Life and Death, The Final Frontier, Book of Souls, and Senjutsu. Those are the non-live albums.
Well, I got some live albums mixed in there because that's what they put in there.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're going to go 18, you have to. So no problem. You can add. I have it here too. Live After Death, a real live one, a real dead one, Live at Donington, Rock in Rio, BBC Archives, Beast over Hammersmith, Death on the Road, Flight 666, and Vivo, Made in England 88, which is great. Book of Souls live chapter, and Knights of the Dead, Legacy of the Beast live in Mexico. So that is the full run of Iron Maiden albums, including live. So yeah, Jeff, take it over.
All right. Well, I'm going to go 1 to 18, but 18 being what they say is the favorite, the all-time best.
Okay, so you're gonna run the list, and then we're gonna compare it. You're gonna go one by one.
We could go down the list and compare it. It doesn't matter how it works.
Okay, so the least great Iron Maiden album is
Virtual X1 XI.
Okay.
Whatever, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I never remember hearing anything from it. I don't even know who the singer is on it. I know that it's not.
That's Blaze Bayley.
Oh, so then, you know what? I actually deleted that album the other day.
Yeah. X Factor and Virtual XI, which I guess is a Virtual 11, were both Blaze Bayley albums. There's one or two decent songs on it. Decent, nothing. So
the next album was X Factor.
Yeah, so they put the Blaze Bayley stuff at the very end, which makes sense.
Number 3, No Prayer for the Dying, which I don't have a problem with. I don't like that album. I
would agree. It's to me, it's not a great album. Go ahead. Yeah.
The next one is Final Frontier.
Okay, so
I actually have to look it up. I believe Final Frontier. What songs are on there?
I'll tell you right now. I have it in front of me. So let's see. Final Frontier. So here's the problem I have for you. Here it comes.
Light 15 and El Dorado.
Yeah. Mother of Mercy, Coming Home, The Alchemist, Isle of Avalon, Starblind, The Talisman, The Man Who Would Be King, and When the Wind Blows. I have to tell you, this is not the worst Iron Maiden album. There's 3, maybe 4 good songs on this, and El Dorado's a great one.
That's not enough songs.
I agree. I'm
too high. I'm sorry.
But to me, it's better than Dances of Death. That's my only problem with this. I don't think
by the way, is a great album. Is next on the list.
Okay.
Which I know nothing about, but
yeah, again, a decent album. I'll tell you the quick songs, the best songs on this album. Rainmaker's a good album. Passchendaele's decent, just very long. Other than that, this is a very bougie album. Very, very bougie album.
No, I have not really. I've been listening to a lot of Maiden this week since last week.
Yep.
And some of this other stuff I just cannot get in.
But I would say if we're going to do it right, I would say that Final Frontier is a better album than Dance of Death. It just is. But okay, again, it's one spot, no problem. Go ahead.
Well, next on the list is Senjutsu.
Oof, way too high on the list. Way too high.
I tried listening to it. I just can't.
I swear to you, Jeff, I didn't listen to one. I think I might have listened to a couple of things that showed up on like Blabbermouth or something, and I cannot listen to it. So to me, that could have easily been the worst album in the group. But go ahead.
Okay. Matter of Life and Death is next at number 7. I know nothing about this album either.
Okay, Different World, These Colors Don't Run's a decent song. Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, A Pilgrim, the Longest Days, Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg. Again, another one of these albums where you've not missed anything. I have this album. I've listened to it once or twice. Not very good.
Wow. Okay. Next up is Fear of the Dark.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is not my favorite album by any stretch.
But some good song. Be Quick or Be Dead, From Here to Eternity, Afraid to Shoot Strangers. Fear is the Key. Fear of the Dark is on this album, which is a great song. But it's probably the only great song on here. Be Quick or Be Dead's not terrible.
No, it's a good song, but it's not very Maiden-like.
No, but the one song that has lived off this album is Fear of the Dark. That's just
without a doubt.
Great song.
And when you do see them live, it's a great song to
100%. It's one of those songs that you want to hear when they play live because it's just a great crowd song.
Yeah. Next on the list is Book of Souls.
Oof. Oof.
which I've listened to some of it.
Speed of Light is a good tune.
Yeah, I almost put that on the set list.
Yeah, that's a good song, but that's it. Man, what else is on that album? Hold on, let me 2 seconds. I can bring it right up. Is there anything else on there that I would recommend anybody listen to? If Eternity Should Fall, Speed of Light, The Great Unknown, The Red and the Black, The Book of Souls, Empire of the Clouds. That's that 18-minute song. Tears of a Clown. No, Speed of Light is the one and only, written by Adrian Smith and Bruce Dickinson. This is an album that it's a bad cover. The cover is horrendous, and the album's not great. This should have been further down on the list.
Yep. Number 10 on the list. We're past the halfway point now. Brave New World.
Great album. A very underrated album. I know you're not a fan of it.
I tried to listen to it, man. I couldn't get very far.
Oh, I would tell you, I was the first Maiden show I saw. I saw it in 1999. They get the band back together. Brave New World, Blood Brothers are great, great songs. After that, it kind of falls off. Goes to Navigator. Again, Blood Brothers is a great song. Brave New World is a great song. The Wicker Man. Forgot about The Wicker Man. 3 great songs off this album. Great tour, but
still not enough.
I got it. It probably is ranked where it should be.
Well, now this is where the list gets a little
interesting.
Yeah, because this is the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs, 8 albums, which is probably the stuff that we like the most.
Go ahead. Okay? Go ahead.
So I got number 11.
Yep.
Killers.
Wow, way too low on the list. Way too low on the list.
Wait. I was disappointed. I was severely disappointed.
Oh, you have to be. You're a Maiden fan.
I really was.
That may be the greatest Iron Maiden album of all time. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's in the top 3. But oh my God, no, it's that low on the list. Holy cow, go ahead.
It's that low on the list, and right next to it is the first album, Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I would have assumed that the first 4 albums would have been the top 4 albums. Just the order would have been the only question in my brain. The fact that those 2 albums, classic, man, especially Killers, we could argue that the first Iron Maiden album is very punky, not the greatest produced album I've ever heard, but some of those songs are still played to this day regularly.
You just said something that I got to rebut.
Go ahead.
When you said it wasn't the greatest produced album.
I didn't think it was the best produced
album.
album.
I'm not saying it is.
Oh.
I'm not saying it is, but I want you to think this and admit this to me. Okay.
Go ahead.
You listen to some other albums that were released in 1980 and compare the production of that album, the first Iron Maiden album, to just about anything else released in 1980. And that Maiden album still holds it. Not only that, it's not a dated album.
But wait.
Not a dated album.
You think that's better produced than Back in Black, British Steel, Blizzard of Oz? Those are all 1980 albums.
Maybe not albums like that.
Okay.
Albums by other metal bands that came out at that time. Yes.
I'm not telling you it's not a great album, and there's 4 or 5 songs that I will go to religiously to listen to. So I'm with you.
I mean, if I would have to look up albums released in that, but there was some albums released at that time period in metal. Okay, that were just fucking horrible sounding.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's no doubt. We can look it up. But my only problem with that is they kind of got stuck in that. They're coming out of that punky era into that next phase, and it just was like if that was the 3rd album instead of the first album, like if they did Killers and then that, I would have loved to hear the mix that would have been. How much more deeper it would have been.
Frank Catalano, I don't consider Queen a metal band.
Yeah,
and Queen is just that's just a different type of fucking.
Yeah, I love that album, Frank. That is an underrated album for me, only because it's such a catchy album. I know Another One Bites the Dust is kind of bullshit, but like Dragon Attack and some of the other songs that are on that album, I love that. I listen to it all the time, and it's a really good sounding album. But Jeff's right. I would not compare.
No, and when I said what I said, I wasn't comparing anything Queen writes to anything that Maiden wrote in the first couple albums. No, and that's fine, Frank. Yeah. Well, it's Mike Throat is killing me. Sure. It's a long story, but I'm not going to repeat it again.
I love that album, Frank. I'm with you. I think The Game is a great album, just top to bottom, because it's so well done. But go ahead, Jeff, keep going.
All right, so next on the list, you ready for this one?
Go ahead.
You don't know
yet. Wait. So we had Killers, then we had Iron Maiden, and now what do we get?
Okay, Live After Death.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now, while I think that Live After Death is an incredible live album, okay, wow. I really think it's an incredible live album. It was recorded well. Oh. I remember seeing the video. I remember watching that video over for the whole album.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. I don't think that was one of their top 7 or 8 albums. I'm sorry. Well,
I would put Live After Death as one of the best live albums of all time for me.
Go with that, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But you're right. It does not beat the studio versions of those first 2 albums. I just can't. If you had told me that came and then if that was next before Killers and Iron Maiden, I would say, all right, it fits. It's a great album. It's one of their best, but I can't put that ahead of Killers. I can't put it ahead of Killers. I just can't do it.
No, I hear you. I agree with you.
That's interesting. Go ahead, Welsh. So Live After Death. Interesting.
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Next after Live After Death is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Wow.
Well, I don't have a problem where Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is. I actually would like it to be a little bit higher. They backed off the synthesizers a little bit, although the synthesizers were still relevant on that album. They weren't as in your face as Somewhere in Time, and I think it's a better album than Somewhere in Time. I think that.
Well, listen, yeah, I mean, Moonchild, Can I Play with Madness is a great song. I should have put that on my set list. The Evil That Men Do, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, The Clairvoyant. That's a great album. And it's probably exactly where it should be. Maybe it should be even a little higher, but that is a great album. That's
I can't see from here who wrote Moonchild. Adrian Smith and Bruce Dickinson.
Yeah, Adrian Smith and Bruce Dickinson. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah. That is a Adrian Smith, Bruce Dickinson, 5 minutes and 38-second song. See, to me, that might be, after Peace of Mind, their next and last great album.
I could go with that.
Because Power Slave to me was a really good album. Wasn't great. But after Peace of Mind was great. After that, this might be the last great Iron Maiden album. Not forget about the live albums, because those are concerts. It's hard for me to put them in as albums because it's compilations of songs that are all over the place. So, but to me, this album you could put on and almost not move the needle. Just let it play.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, listen, after that one comes a bummer, Somewhere in Time, which is just way too high.
That's an interesting one for me because I'm going through the list. Let's see now. Caught Somewhere in Time, not great. Wasted Years is one of my favorites, but Heaven Can Wait, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great. This is not a good album. This is one good song, a couple of Heaven Can Wait's a decent song. To me, this is way too high. This should be, when you started with, just should be before Killers. Like when you got to that point, this should be in that area there. This should not be
further back.
Yeah, this should not be anywhere near the top 5 or 6 albums ever. Not even close. Yeah, not even close. This is a bad list, but go ahead.
All right, so now we have 3 left. I bet you can guess which order these are in.
So Power Slave, Peace of Mind, and Number of the Beast.
Exactly. But Power Slave, listen, Power Slave is a good album.
Yeah.
It was a little, I think they rebounded from Power Slave to not Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Actually, Somewhere in Time came first, didn't it, after Power Slave?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, because
actually it was Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, and then Seventh Son is the timeline.
Yep.
But I like Peace of Mind, Power Slave, and then Seventh Son, and then Somewhere in Time, way further into the crowd, man.
100%. I mean, now listen, this Power Slave, I mean, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Flash of the Blade's a good song. Back in the Village, Power Slave, Ride with the Ancient Mariner. You know, this is a good album. It's not great. That's when we were talking before. You know, after Peace of Mind, the first 4 albums are gold. You know, to me, you can put them in any order you want. Those are the best 4 Iron Maiden albums, and then it should jump. And I saw this concert. It was a great concert.
Power Slave, you saw?
Yeah. Me, Joey, and Jerry Brusco. Jerry went with his white leather motorcycle jacket.
Okay, Tom, keep going. I gotta take a quick piss.
But this album is really good. I would not trade it in. It was a good follow up. You know, but to me, boy, I gotta tell you, boy, I have a hard time with this one. Boy, yeah, no, I'm again, Power Slave being top 3. No, I mean, listen, Jeff will come back. It is good, Frankie. It wasn't at the time when you heard that album, you know, even Rhyme of the Ancient Matter didn't bother you. You didn't realize it was a sign of things to come. You know, these long ass, you know, what was Rhymes 18 minutes, 13 minutes. You know, you didn't realize that all of a sudden they were going to be doing, you know, 15 and 18-minute songs regularly. But it was still one of those songs you enjoyed it. And there was you know, I get tired of Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight. They're on every show. Every time Maiden plays, they play those songs. And I get it. It's a staple. And I just get tired of those songs. But that's a good album. But it's not top 3. I'm sorry. It's just not top 3. If you're a Maiden fan, again, there's some sporadic songs on those albums that were good. Don't get me wrong. They're just not. It's just not. You know. This is not a good album. I'm just. Let's see. Yeah, to me, this might be the last great Maiden album. But yeah, Power Slave should not be there. So I'm guessing Power Slave, then it's Peace of Mind, and then Number of the Beast would be ranked number 1. Am I correct?
Yeah, Peace of Mind, and then Number of the Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. Now again, to me, I would say I always go back and forth. Peace of Mind and Number of the Beast. But truly, Peace of Mind is the greatest Iron Maiden album. It is. I mean, it's just top to bottom. You put the needle on the record, or you put the CD in, and it goes front to you. You're not skipping a song. For me, I love that album. Peace of Mind, same thing. There's very little I don't like. But when I hear Invaders and I hear Number of the Beast and I hear the songs on that album, you're like, dude, this album just kills. And to me, it is the best Iron Maiden album. Now,
which one's that? Number of the Beast.
Number of the Beast. Now you can argue Killers. I could give you an argument that Killers might be the greatest Iron Maiden album of all time. I go back and forth. Favorite album being Peace of Mind. To me, those 4 albums, you can put them in any order you want. I won't argue with you.
It's a strong, honestly. Definitely a strong showing.
Yeah, to me, you want to put Power Slave at 5 or 6. I'm okay with it, but to me, I think the other album, what was it? Fear of the Dark. Which one was it? We said not Fear of the Dark. Seventh Son. I think we said was Fear of the Dark. I think we called it for the next great Iron Maiden. Now, the last great Iron Maiden. Be Quicker Dead. No. It was.
I like Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yep, that's the last great. That to me should be the 5th song, the 5th album after that. You want to go number 5? I can live with that. With Moonchild, Can I Play with Madness, Evil the Men Do, The Clairvoyant. That's a really good album. I can live with that. But you know, to me, having some of those other albums in there, Jeff, you know, the fact that I want to know who made this up, because anybody who puts Killers and Iron Maiden that far down on the list of Iron Maiden songs has no fucking clue. Has no clue.
I agree. I found this on what do you call it? Like, do you use AOL?
Sure, all the time.
Okay, when you use AOL, that screen that pops up, like if you just go not AOL, but like
it's a home screen.
Fuck it is, yeah.
It has all the articles on it.
Yep. That's where I found this on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the early part was okay. You could flip a flop one song, one album here or there. I didn't think it was too bad. Book of Souls way too high on that list. The fact that, again, to me, once you tell me that Iron Maiden and Killers don't crack the top 5, I mean, if you want to put them, you want to stick something in the middle of there. You want to put Powerslave at 3 and then or 4 and then move Iron Maiden. Again, it's like the Def Leppard fan. A lot of Def Leppard fans hate On Through the Night. Now, I would put that number 1, but when you put that in the overall catalog of Def Leppard albums, it doesn't fit. Like it's a albatross. It's kind of like what Iron Maiden album was. Iron Maiden was a punk album that was branded metal because that's what was out at that time, and then they morphed into what Killers became, and then a full-fledged metal band. That's kind of what On Through the Night was for me. But to me, those 2 albums, along with Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind, have to be in your top 5. After that, if that's not the case, you're not a real Iron Maiden fan. Sorry, just not.
Yeah, I could go with that.
Yeah, it's just that's baffling. But those are probably the same people who voted and are upset about the current set list. So, but yeah, like Frank said, Holy Smoke's a good album, a good song. There are some sporadic songs. El Dorado off of Final Frontier is a great song. Speed of Light off of Book of Souls is a great song. There are some odd songs here and there. There's a couple. I got rid of it.
But you know what? Here's the question: if you take all of these good songs that you're talking about, and you say this one is good, that one is good, I like this one was good. How about that one? Okay, how many albums you coming out with? If they have 18 albums, how many albums you coming out with when you say, well, this is great, that's great, this is great? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would tell you,
you're not going to get 18 albums, that's for sure.
I would tell you, studio albums, there are 5. Maybe 6 great studio albums. I'm going to throw Brave New World is close. I don't know if it's great. I would tell you there's 5, maybe 6 great studio albums. At least 2 of the live albums. I like the 666 one. That was from a few years ago when they.
Yeah, I was actually listening to that the other day at work.
Yeah.
The BBC Archives. Do you have that one?
I have that. That's another great. That's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beast Over Hammersmith, I have. That's a great album. Flight 666.
B-sides is good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good Iron Maiden live albums that you can listen to. Some of them are good. Again, you're playing a variety of Iron Maiden songs. It's hard to be bad. But as far as albums go, studio version, how many studio albums are there? Was it 12?
I think there's more than that. We got Souls,
4, 5.
Brave New World, Dance of Death.
14, 15, 16,
17.
17 of them.
There's 17 albums altogether?
Yeah, 17 studio albums.
Okay.
I would tell you there are 6 great ones.
I could go with that.
There are 6 great ones. There are probably another 2 or 3 that are really good. Brave New World. There's a couple of good ones. And then there's the rest. That's it for me as a Maiden fan and my favorite band, bar none. I'm Kiss is a very close second, but Iron Maiden's my band. And I would tell you, if I was telling you asked me, I'm telling you there are 6 great albums. 6. After that, there are good songs on average albums.
Yeah, that's a shame because it makes you wonder like how much of that was pushed.
Yeah. Oh, let's put it this way. Maiden's a band that evolved. So they didn't stick to they didn't. Kiss stuck to a script for a long time, and then they tried to change, and then they tried to come back. And most bands do it. Most bands try to. There's very few bands that didn't do it. One of them is AC/DC. AC/DC, every album is basically the same script. It's the same band. They different songs, they write a different way, but the songs basically sound the same type of song. and Maiden got different, and every once in a while they'd sneak in a good one, and then they just kind of try to paint the picture that nobody cared about, or wrote a book that nobody wanted to read, and that's what happened to Iron Maiden. And so maybe, Jeff, maybe it's just not easy to write 20 great albums with 8, 10, 12 songs on it.
Of course it's not, but I mean, something else too. You've come to expect a great degree of music from Iron Maiden.
Yep.
That a lot of bands cannot put out 10 great albums. Of course, we know this.
Yeah.
Okay, but then there are some bands that come close. But I mean, when you got the same guys writing the same stuff and they get older, it's going to change a little bit. Excuse me, I got a cough. But Maiden, why put out an album if it's not on? You're not on top of your game.
I would agree, but let me ask you this question. So I just looked it up. Black Sabbath has 19 studio albums. How many would you say off the top of your head? I'll read them out to you in a minute. How many would you say are great?
Oh, less than 13.
Okay, so let me read them out. And I'm going to use you as the guinea pig. You're the Sabbath fan. Tell me how many, what you would consider not a really good album or it's one of your favorite, but a really, truly great album. You ready?
Go ahead.
Black Sabbath.
Great.
Paranoid.
It's great. It's great. It has a lot of moments on it. It's great.
Master Reality.
It's not great to me for Sabbath. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Master Reality. Master Reality is great. I'm thinking Volume 4.
Okay, Volume 4.
Volume 4 is not great to me. It has great songs on it, but it's not a great album. There's a couple songs that I don't like that prevent it from being great.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Oh, fucking unbelievable.
Sabotage.
Another one, unbelievable.
Technical Ecstasy.
No.
Never Say Die.
No.
Heaven and Hell.
Great.
Mob Rules.
Great.
Born Again.
No.
Seventh Star.
Definitely not. No.
The Eternal Idol.
No.
Headless Cross.
No.
Tire, whatever.
I don't know how to pronounce that either, but no. Those were the Tony something.
I got you, but it's still.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, at that point in time, there were people. The only original member that was in the band at that point in time was Tony Iommi.
Wow.
That band was something completely different. And rumor had it that things I read that a lot of those albums he wanted to put out as solo albums, but he couldn't because he owed his record labels a certain amount of Sabbath albums. So he made them Sabbath albums instead of being Tony Iommi solo albums.
Okay, well, that's fair. Dehumanizer.
That's a really good album too.
Great or good?
Very good. Very Tony Martin. That's it, man. I didn't like Tony Martin, bro.
Okay. Cross Purposes.
No, not for me.
Forbidden.
No.
13.
13 is completely different than what we're used to with Sabbath. There's only a couple songs on there that I really like. 3 songs, actually. A lot of it has to do with the way it was recorded, I think. And I'm not going to say they rushed it, but it was a lot like, I can't remember the name from. There was an album from Heaven and Hell. Mm-hmm. When they were recording under Heaven and Hell, that was very like 13.
Okay.
It was just the way they were writing at the time.
All right. Well, you came up with 7 of 19 albums that you say were great. 7. So, you're talking about one of the best metal bands of all time, one of the greats. I'm sure if we went to Priest and the Scorpions and Queensryche, we'd probably come up with the same thing. You catch that first 5, 6, you're hungry, you're fighting, you got all your ideas. And then after that, you start to stretch. And Frankie, let's see. I wanted to comment on something Frankie said. One thing about Maiden. Yes, Frankie, I would tell you, I didn't listen to Senjutsu. I don't own it. Every other Maiden album, you could find 1, maybe 2 songs on. Even the Blaze Bayley stuff. Those 2 Blaze Bayley albums have 1 or 2 songs on that are really catchy, good songs. And then the rest of them, But so. Again, without belaboring this whole thing, here's one of the best metal bands of all time, and we're gonna find 7 of their 19 albums that were great. Yeah, some good ones. You had some other ones you thought were really good, or so maybe it's 9 really good albums, and then they got 10 albums where you kind of go, I don't want to listen to that.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were to take, like I said earlier, if you would take some of the good songs off of these albums and condense all of the great songs or really good songs into an album, okay, and you ended up with 14 to 15 really great Maiden albums instead of 19 albums with some good stuff and some stuff that might grow on you, or some stuff that you're going to be like, I just don't like the name of it, I'm not going to listen to it, I can't.
Yeah, no. I think to your point that you're going to make is, if you said, hey, don't put out an album for 5 years and take all the decent ones you got in there and make one giant great album out of it, instead of putting out 4 albums that just kind of are half-assed, I would agree with that. Like if you took, El Dorado and put it on an album with Speed of Light, all right, you're starting to make something out of it. Then you pulled in, Mother Russia, that's another good tune. And you pull in,
Mother Russia is just too long of an album, and it's too
yes.
I don't want to say ethnic sounding, but they do have a Russian sound to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I'm saying is you could take, Brave New World's got 3 or 4 good songs on it. So again, yeah, could I take from Brave New World and forward and make 2 great Iron Maiden albums out of everything that's left after that? Yeah, I could do that. But you're probably taking 7 or 8 albums and making 2 out of them. And Frankie, even the Beatles, I'd have to go back and look. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, so I'd have to think about it. I don't even Kiss. When I listen to Kiss, there's the first few albums, and then there's The Elder, and then there's, then there's some stuff in there. So I think Kiss I could actually probably tell you, there's probably 8 or 9 or 10 great albums, and then there's a lot of clunkers after that.
See, one thing I'll say, like, Frankie brought up the Beatles. How about this, Frank? Tell me what you think of this. I don't know if you're a Zeppelin fan. I've become a Zeppelin fan, more of a Zeppelin fan than I ever was. And a lot of people say they're great, they're the best band of all time and all this other shit. But they only put out a small number of albums.
7, I think, right? Or 8?
7 or 8, yeah, because they were only they only recorded for 12 years. Like 68 or 69 to I think 79.
9 albums.
9 albums. Well, and that includes Coda, right?
Yes. So Zeppelin, Zeppelin 2, Zeppelin 3, Zeppelin 4. They didn't spend much time coming up with names of albums. Houses of the Holy, Physical Graffiti, Presence, In Through the Outdoor, and Coda.
Yeah, and Coda was released after John Bonham died.
Yeah, 1982.
And nothing has been released by them. Not like, I can't. That's another thing too. I can't believe that a band like Zeppelin didn't have some kind of tapes laying around someplace that they never finished. I find that hard to believe, but it is what it is. And they only released. They had a relatively small catalog, but everybody's like, "Oh, they're great stuff. This is awesome. It's awesome." They only have out 9 albums.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Now, Frankie, I'm a Kiss fan, so. So in 1974, they put out 2 albums. Kiss, great album. Hotter Than Hell, great album. Dressed to Kill, great. Destroyer, great. Rock and Roll All Over, great. Love Guns, good. Dynasty, I love Dynasty, not great, but good, but a good album. Unmasked was not good. Music from the Elder was not good. Creatures of the Night, great. Lick It Up, not great. Animalized, not great. Asylum, okay. Crazy Nights, I liked. Okay, Hot in the Shade, Revenge, Carnival of Souls, Psycho Circus, Sonic Boom, and Monster. Frankie, you can't tell me you love all those albums. I love you to death. Those last 4 or 5 are not great albums. But
let me
ask
you.
Like them, though. You might like them.
Is a lot of those albums that were released by Kiss at that point in time meant to be released, or was it just Gene Simmons that said, like, we have extra material, let's just release it?
I don't know.
Let's release it.
They had a habit, like 74, they put out 2 albums. They put out Kiss and Hotter Than Hell. One was released February, the other one was released in October.
If you listen to those albums, can you hear if they're close to one another in sound?
No, I would say the first Kiss album is kind of like the first Iron Maiden album. You listen to it and you go, ooh, not the best produced album I've ever heard. Hotter Than Hell was a really great album.
The reason I'm asking is because is this something where you think they went in the studio and they had enough stuff?
Oh, maybe.
Albums and they were like, okay, fuck it, release one now and 6 months later we'll release the other.
It's very possible. I would not argue that. Dress to Kill is a great album. Destroy is a great album. Rock and Roll Over is a great album. Love Gun is a great album. Dynasty, I love Dynasty. It's got a great sound. It's different and charisma and I Was Made for Loving You and some of those songs that just will live on forever. Unmask, Frankie, what? Hold on, 8th studio album. On that is that for you? Shandy is a decent song. Talk to Me, Naked City, What Makes the World Go Round, Tomorrow, Two Sides of the Coin.
Shandy, didn't we play that?
No, we never played. No, nobody plays Shandy. Oh my god.
Charisma.
No, we did Charisma off of Dynasty. Yeah, that is actually a pretty good album. It's underrated as far as I'm concerned. Let me bring that up real fast for me. Off that album, I Was Made for Loving You, Charisma, X-Ray Eyes. There's some decent songs, but there's like 2-3 songs on that album that's great. Listen, Frank, there's nothing wrong. You like those albums. There's nothing wrong. Believe me. It is a disco album. That they've come out 100 times and said that was their attempt to get into the disco phase, into the disco phase, because Gene was hanging out at Studio 54 every night.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would say this. I would have to do some research. Maybe because they only put out nine albums, that they have a better. Zeppelin has a better percentage of great albums because they didn't overdo it.
I wouldn't say that they have the percentage of great albums because they didn't overdo it. I would say that maybe people look at Zeppelin as putting out a lot of great albums and that most of their albums were great simply because they ended. They were done. They were finished. There was nothing more that they could do.
Which is probably right. So if Iron Maiden had ended after their 8th album, we would have 5 or 6 all-time great albums, but because they went to 17 studio albums, we got a bunch of clunkers in there. So to your point, again, is there any band out there that's done a dozen records or better and had most of them come out to be stellar? I'd have to look that up. I would doubt it.
I think every single band like Van Halen did okay until they put out Van Halen 3. I don't like all of the stuff with Hagar, but they was a different band.
It's a whole different band.
To me, the Van Halen, the beginning stuff was the stuff.
Absolutely. The first 4 or 5 albums are just all-time classics. You're not going to beat it. After that, again, once, maybe Diver Down, I could take it, throw it away. Maybe, I don't know. But certainly with the Sammy stuff's not my thing. I mean,
they had some good albums on Dive It Down. I mean, good albums, good songs on Dive It Down.
I'd have to look it up. Let me see. Van Halen albums.
Best Part of a Man. I forget what the name of the album or song was. You looking it up now?
I'm picking it up right now. So Van Halen albums. Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, and then Diver Down. Let's see. Well, maybe I was thinking in 1984. Hold on. So the song list is Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Again,
that's not a bad song.
It's a Kinks song.
I did not know that.
That's a Kinks song. Yeah, it's a Kinks Ray Davies cover. Yeah, Hang 'em High, Cathedral, Secrets, Intruder, which is Oh Pretty Woman, another cover. Dance in the Street, which is a cover. Little Guitars is a good song. Big Bad Bill, again, is a Margaret Young cover.
I did not know that.
Yep, Full Bug and Happy Trails, which is a Roy Rogers, Del Evans cover.
I think Full Bug was the one I was thinking about.
Full Bug, yeah. Again, so it's an album full of they were radio hits, but they were covers. 1984. Okay. Let's see. 1984 instrumental Jump, Panama, Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs. Okay, that's a good side. Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait. that's a great album. I mean, to me,
I'll Wait was like on the radio, like every time you turn around.
Yeah, but I mean, Girl Gone Bad, House of Pain. But I mean, Jump, Panama, Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait. That's a good album by itself. I mean, 1984 was a good album. Diving down. Then you get to 5150, OU 812, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, Balance, Van Halen 3. Those
Van
other
Halen
albums.
3 was a bad album. I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the other ones were terrible, but they're Sammy Hagar versions. A different kind of truth. So, how many of them are great? Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, Women and Children, Fair Warning, 4 great ones. 84, I think it's a great one. 5150, Good Enough, Why Can't This Be Love, Get Up, Dream, Summer Nights, Best of Both Worlds, Love Walks In, 5150, and Inside. All right, it's a good album. It's not great. So every band's got their clunkers, Jeff.
This is very true.
Yep. You like some songs on Van Halen 3. I don't even know if I've ever heard Van Halen 3.
There was one song that Gary Cherone did with Van Halen 3, and it didn't go over very well. And, he was the big guy at the moment because Extreme and Nuno Betancourt were pretty hot at the time.
Yep.
And they were able to grab him after Sammy left. And didn't Sammy come back after that?
I believe so. So Van Halen 3, let me see if I've heard anything. I've never heard anything off this album. New World, Without You, One I Want, From Afar, Dirty Water Dog, Once, Fire in the Hole, Josephina, Year to Day, Primary, Ballot or the Bullet, How Many Say I, Gary Cherone, Michael Anthony, Alex Van Halen. Now let's see. Did Sammy come back? Different Kind of Truth. Is that Sammy again?
I don't know.
Let's see. No, Dave's back at that point. So it's Dave, Eddie, Wolfgang, and Alex at that point.
Really? Different Kind of Truth? Wasn't that? Oh, that was with Tattoo on it, right?
Don't.
Tattoo.
No, hold on. That's a good. No. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Tattoo, She's the Woman, You and Your Blues, Chinatown, Honey Baby, Sweetie Doll, Truth Will Never. And I mean, Tattoo's a good song. And that's it. So, I mean, that's pretty much the last.
Tattoo to me was kind of like an attempt to make something out of something that that was probably so forced. Probably.
And there was a long time. Van Halen 3 came out in 1988. They didn't put out another studio album for 14 years. Then A Different Kind of Truth, which was their last studio album as Van Halen.
Wow.
Then there's a whole bunch of Tokyo Dome Live in Concert was a live one, 2015. And then Live in Dallas, 2000 came out March 20, 2025. I guess that's after Eddie passes away. But, again, so, Van Halen's got a very small catalog. I would say most of their stuff is good. It's kind of like the Zeppelin thing. They kind of make a lot, but they made a lot of good ones. So good segment. Good segment for the Iron Man, Jeff. Good call on your part all the way through.
I had to do it. I mean, they're popping up everywhere.
No, definitely, absolutely. So let me get a couple more things I want to hit before the show ends. We talked about this. So they came out this week with the new cover of Madden. Do you happen to catch it?
I know what it is. Yes.
So it's Saquon Barkley. We all know that the Madden curse for running backs. It goes back to Peyton Hillis and others who have appeared and then had their seasons destroyed after being on the cover. Do you think, Jeff, that Saquon Barkley should never have done it? And can the Eagles be the team that bucks the trend? Most teams, now the Chiefs have done it lately. They've dominated. And New England did it for a little while. But most teams who make it to the Super Bowl and win usually take a major step back the following season. Can the Eagles avoid the Madden curse and get back to the Super Bowl this year?
I don't know, man. It's a good question. I mean, I know that division got a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to affect the Eagles as far as their play. As far as the Super Bowl goes, I'm going to say that the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again this year. I think they're going to be determined to win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be Travis Kelce's, really last good year in the NFL because he disappeared in the Super Bowl last year. And I just don't think that the Eagles, although they did look strong, if the Eagles and Chiefs meet up again, I can't see the Eagles winning again. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't think either one of those teams get back there this year. I think there's a lot of strong teams. I think the AFC West is going to be a very strong division. I think that Frankie's going to love to hear this. I think the Broncos are going to be much better. Another year with the rookie quarterback this year, being in a sophomore year in that offense. I think they got better. I think the Chargers are going to be better another year under Harbaugh. I even think the Raiders are going to be better with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has some magic left in him. I saw some negative stuff about Sam Darnold's first few practices, but
he's got Geno Smith.
Oh, that's right. He's got Geno Smith. I'm sorry. That's I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm confusing it because there was another practice with Sam Darnold. Yeah, Geno Smith's there.
So somebody's complaining about Sam Darnold already.
Yeah, he had a rough practice. It was a whole big thing, but. I don't think either one of those teams make it back there. The Eagles might win the division because I don't think the NFC East is going to be strong. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be good. The Giants are still a year away, I think, at least from being a better team. I think Washington will challenge. I don't think they'll beat the Eagles for the division. I'd be surprised. I want to see how it shakes out, obviously, but I still think the Lions are the team to beat in the NFC, and they have to make a run this year. He is in Seattle. Yes, you're right. That was the switch.
Frank, who's playing Paul Stanley? You didn't tell us.
Yeah. Who is it, Frank? I didn't know there was a biopic. See, I think Kiss deserves a biopic. If there's a band out there that somebody should make a movie about, Kiss is that one.
Well, now there's a whole bunch of them coming out. There's going to be one on the Ramones. There's going to be one on Motorhead. There's a whole bunch of bands.
Jonas Brother. Really? Wow.
Well, listen, good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'll definitely watch it. I'm a Kiss fan, so I'm curious. I've seen the story written out a million times. I've heard Gene said. I've read all their books instead of Paul's, and not Paul's, I should say. But yeah, so that's interesting. The Ramones is an interesting one. I wouldn't mind seeing. I'm not a huge Ramones fan, but that's an interesting story. Who else would get?
I'll tell you the truth. It depends on what version of the story you get, because I read Dee Dee Ramone's book, Lobotomy.
Yeah.
And it was actually a pretty good book. I have it right here. It was actually a real good book. My wife got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. I read it in about a week. Not that it's War and Peace. As you can see, it's the Ramones.
Yeah.
But Dee Dee was a little bit less than truthful and didn't tell all of the really fucked up stuff about him. But he spent the majority of his time getting into fights and getting fucked up. But, I don't know. I don't know. This.
Let's put it. So now Frankie mentions that they're going to do the Kiss biopic up to a certain point, and they're going to do it up to the, I guess Peter and Ace are out of the band, and they get it up to the Eric Carr years, which pretty much takes us up to Creatures of the Night. So that's an interesting, because you got the start of the band, you're going through their heyday, you take the makeup off, all that stuff. I guess that's before. Creatures is before the makeup comes off. That's Vinnie Vincent. So you're doing it right before they take the makeup off.
No, Eric Carr played on the album with no makeup, right?
Yes, yeah. So I'm gonna say, but Creatures, I'm thinking I'm stopping at Creatures. But I guess you could go up to a little bit past that. But to me, you could end it right there. Maybe when you end it when they take the makeup off, that would probably be the right way to do it. Because that was the whole big thing years ago. They used to have pictures of people in the Enquirer and the Star. This is what Gene Simmons really looks like, and it wasn't Gene Simmons, because they were trying to keep their identity hidden all those years. That's an interesting one. If you were doing a Ramones biopic, what would you take it up to? Like, what would be the point? Like, you kick it from the beginning, and then what? When do you say
You got to go all the way, man.
Well, it's kind of like, Queen, they took it up to Live Aid, right? And then a little bit past it when he was, they kind of showing him dying and all that other stuff. But
yeah, but except with Queen, they rearranged the timeline.
Yes. Yeah, which I get for a movie you kind of have to do to get the whole story in 2 hours or whatever it is. So I didn't like it. We had many conversations about this. I liked the movie. I didn't like some of it, telling people he would, all the stuff that he announced that he had AIDS before Live Aid and all that other stuff. Which we all know.
Made it seem like they didn't play for years before Live Aid. It was just a few months.
Correct. Yeah. So there was.
I don't mind. I first of all, a band like Queen, as big as they were, I don't see the point of twisting around the story because they could have turned around, ended it at Live Aid, and just as they were doing the credits, do the roll up of the screen and be like, Freddie Mercury was diagnosed with AIDS.
Yeah. To me, yeah.
By the time they played Live Aid, he was only alive another 5 or 6 years anyway. So
and to me, that was the height of the band at that point. To me, that was their peak, was that moment. And everything else after that, you could have said in a scroll up with, Freddie Mercury passed away, Queen continues on with, the guy from Deep Purple.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So for Kiss, to me, yeah, I would say you took it up to when they kind of Peter and Ace leave and the band continues. I would take it up to when they take off the makeup for Lick It Up and all of that. That's where I would take it, and then I would end it there because that's kind of like the coming out. So if I was going to do a Kiss movie, the beginning is the important part. How they got the whole thing together, and then their big huge rise and everything that went with it, and then the slow downfall of the band members leaving. I would end it right there at with Lick It Up and that whole thing. So, but I'm curious to see what it's going to look like, and I will definitely watch it. I'm curious. What other band would we want to see? Like the metal bands, like I really wouldn't want to see an Iron Maiden biopic. I don't think it's that interesting. Same thing for like Priest. And is there any band that you would?
I think if you did Priest,
yeah,
I think the people today would love Priest only because they could touch on. Here's a heavy metal singer that was gay. And I think that, unfortunately, that would be the main focus.
Well, if you think about it, if you think about it, he took what was. Think about like if you like back in the day, you would have like the movie or the TV show, and a guy would walk into a gay bar, and they'd all be dressed in like leather chaps and motorcycle jackets, and all of a sudden, here we are, everybody's dressing that way because Rob Halford's doing it, and we don't know that he's gay and that he's basically having fun with us.
Yeah, well, listen, in a way, we don't really need a Judas Priest story that's going to focus on that because there's much more to the band than that.
Yes.
So if you want to focus on the band, you could touch base on that when he came out, but I would think you would have to turn around and do a large segment on Glenn Tipton, who's going through Parkinson's disease.
I'll give you a band that should have a biopic, Van Halen. Think about it. You're throwing in Dave leaving. I mean, they're huge at that point. Dave leaves. Sammy, one of the biggest artists, comes in. You got the whole Valerie Bertinelli, Eddie Van Halen romance. Eddie being Eddie, and then all the struggles. I think that would be a decent biopic. Seeing a Van Halen one, I think that's a good one.
But you know what? Other than Van Halen fans, I mean, you can say this about all of the bands.
What
is the allure of maybe Valerie Bertinelli for people that are not Van Halen fans?
Well, I mean, again, I think that's where it crosses over because Valerie Bertinelli back in the day was a bigger star than Van Halen. She was.
I know, but that's just what I'm saying. What's going to get your parents to watch the Van Halen thing? Maybe your father would be like, "Oh, I remember Valerie Bertinelli."
Yeah, but my father wasn't watching. My father wasn't watching. Is not watching the Queen biopic or the Kiss one.
More people would know of Queen to watch it than Van Halen. Is my point.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I just think if you're going to do a biopic, there's got to be something interesting about it. I think Frankie's right. Ozzy would be a good one because of the whole Sharon and
what? I would hope that never happens. She's such a twat.
I agree with you, but I think that's one that if you're going to do it, him leaving Black Sabbath, starting out, all the biting of the bats and the pigeons and all the other shit that he did. I obviously, all his nuttiness. I think that's a biopic. Randy Rhoads dying in the plane crash, not far from Frank Jeffries' house, all of that stuff.
Where, in Florida?
Yeah, Frankie lives in that town.
Really?
Yeah, which I forgot when I went to visit Frankie.
Did he take you there?
No, I forgot all about it, and it wasn't until sometime later on I went, shit, I should have went to where Randy Rhoads died. I wonder if they have like a memorial or something there for him.
A burn mark in the lawn.
Something like that. Anything. Based a piece of plane. What about a Pantera one? Again, I think, that one's, subjective.
That's more of a fan-driven band, I think. I don't think that it has enough of a storyline for people to get interested to make a movie.
To be honest with you, I think the Kiss one, because it was so big in the 70s, I think that would be one that somebody flipping the channels like my dad might stop by for a few minutes. But unless you're a Kiss fan, you're not watching it.
Everybody knows Kiss.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Everybody's heard or knows a Kiss song.
Yes. Yeah, you listen, everybody's heard Rock and Roll All Night and, all Detroit Rock City. I mean, they're such radio staples for 100 years, of course. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what the Kiss one looks like. Nick Jonas, again, we'll see how it plays out. But I think that'll wrap it up for tonight. We got through 2 hours. What's next on the playing list, Jeff? June 14th? Is that the next gig?
Not June 14th. I think the 21st.
Oh, okay.
I think
that's Tony Gunn's night. Tony Gunn's and the Van Halen.
Oh shit. Yeah. We got the 21st. Then the following week is the 28th. That's something big. We know that. And then the 25th is 29th is 25 missions.
Wow, it's a busy month.
Yeah, you're going away.
Right now, it's still up in the air. My wife's supposed to find out today. She didn't. She's supposed to find out tomorrow. So we're either going the Friday the 27th is what our plan is, but she still has to get off. If she can't get she has to be able to work away. If they allow her to work away, we leave the 27th and we come back the 7th. If we don't, we're not leaving until the 3rd, and then we'll be there. So should know tomorrow. That's it's been the can's been kicked down the road. We went from going away for 3 weeks to maybe 4 days. We'll see. We still haven't been able to nail it down. So
yeah.
So the 28th the big event, and then the 29th you play. So it's a nice weekend for you.
We will see.
All right. So anyway, again, guys, we got the basketball playoffs, basketball finals kicking off. You got your second game of the Stanley Cup is tomorrow night. Yankees and Mets both in first place, and we are winding down the NFL offseason in the next few weeks with mandatory mini camps. Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they open up.
He didn't sign yet, did he?
Well, I don't know if he signed. He's announced he's going to play for the Steelers. Now, whether he's flown there and signed the contract, or how does it? Maybe he's on his ayahuasca trip. I don't know. But it's amazing how the NFL does this. I mean, did they know in advance this was going to happen? They just happened to schedule Steelers and the Jets to play on their opening day. I don't know how.
I hear you.
It's just kind of weird. They have this habit of doing these things. But the Jets will face their former quarterback looks like an opening weekend, and should be an interesting time. New Jets regime. But like I said, NFL off season is about to come to a close in the next couple of weeks. And then we have the one dormant month of the year for the NFL. And then that'll lead us right back to our number one show of the year, the NFL Training Camp Show. So, again, it's been a good show. A lot of Iron Maiden tonight. They've been dominating the show the last few weeks as we get ready for their 50th anniversary tour to make its way to America sometime later this year. And we'll look forward to getting out to a show for that. But, Jeff, in the meantime, we're going to wrap this one up tonight and move on. And if you would like to crank it up, I'm happy to do it. If you're still recovering from the last one, I get it. All right, so I'm going to go use the men's room. I'm sure you have to take Basil out for her trip.
Yeah, I got to take her out. I got to kick the wife out of the room and stuff.
All right, so you go do what you have to do tonight, Frankie. Always great hanging with you. And we'll wrap this up tonight. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Frankie and everybody else who tuned in and played along with us as we do our thing. And we do appreciate everybody being here. Going to get a little cool over the weekend, so be careful. A lot of rain in the forecast. But other than that, we are in the middle of summer, even though it's not official yet. So, but be careful out there. No drinking and driving. If you're going to drink, please don't drive. Get an Uber, get a Lyft, or get yourself a buddy. In the meantime, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We do appreciate it, and we look forward to doing this again next week. So for Jeff and myself and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, I say have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. And we'll see you back here next Thursday night when Jeff and I get to do this all over again. So for Jeff and myself and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, have a great night. Hefe, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Later, man.
Later.
Bye.